morning. You're listening to the Brief Wake Up, your mindful start to the day. I'm Handel, your daily coffee companion, helping you wake up informed, thoughtful, and maybe a little bit more amused before the day gets old. If you're commuting, corralling kids, or just standing in line for caffeine, you're in the right place. Let's get you caught up. Let's start with what's important, your health. Do you really need 10,000 steps per day? You've heard it everywhere. Get your 10,000 steps in. It's printed on watches, fitness apps, and pedometers. But here's a twist, that number did not come from science, it came from marketing. The idea started in 1965 when a Japanese company released a pedometer called the Manpokai, which literally means 10,000 step meter. It sounded neat, it was easy to remember, and over time it became gospel. But the research to back it up came after the slogan, not before. So what does science actually say? Recent studies, including large ones from Harvard and the NIH, show that meaningful health benefits start much lower. For most adults, walking about 7,000 to 8,000 steps per day, roughly 3 to 4 miles, is enough to significantly reduce the risk of early death, heart disease, and diabetes. And after about 10,000 to 12,000 steps, the curve levels off. More steps are fine, but the benefits become smaller. The bigger message: consistency matters more than the number. A brisk 20-minute walk twice per day can improve circulation, boost mood, and sharpen focus, even if you never hit 10K. What your body really wants is movement spread throughout the day, not a single power walk to make up for 8 hours of sitting. And here's the part we often overlook. Your heart and brain benefit most when walking is paired with mindfulness. When you look around, breathe deeply, and let your thoughts settle in. It's not just about counting steps, it's about reclaiming presence in a world that keeps us sprinting. So if you're chasing a goal, make it this: move often, sit less, and if you happen to hit 10K, great. If you hit 7,000, then feel good too. That's a win, because the real target isn't a number, it's momentum. Now on to the news. US election 2025, a blue wave with mixed messages. Big night in American politics, and the results are already sparking national conversation. Across several key states and cities, voters lean blue. But the story underneath is more complex than a simple party win. In Virginia, former Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger made history defeating Republican Winsome Earl Sears to become the state's first female governor. Spanberger ran as a moderate Democrat, emphasizing stability, affordability, and bipartisanship. Analysts say her win suggests that in swing states, pragmatism sells. Up in New Jersey, Democrat Mickey Sherrill kept the governor's seat for her party, rallying strong support from suburban and middle-class voters concerned about education and cost of living. And in New York City, history of a different kind. Zohran Mamdani was elected as the city's first Muslim and South Asian mayor. His campaign tapped into a younger, more progressive base, calling for rent freezes, free public transit, and expanded workers' rights. And coming in later was news of Gavin Newsom's success in redrawing California's district map. So while Democrats celebrated a sweep, the victory tells two stories: moderation winning in Virginia, progressivism thriving in New York. It's a snapshot of a party stretching across two identities, trying to define itself before the 2026 midterms. Meanwhile, Republicans are reassessing strategy. Many of the Trump-aligned candidates underperformed, suggesting that the president's influence remains powerful, but not always decisive, especially in regions focused on practical issues like housing and local governance. All of this unfolded against the backdrop of a federal shutdown, a crisis that likely shaped voter mood, especially in states with large numbers of federal workers. So takeaway: voters may be sending a message less about party loyalty and more about problem solving. The electorate isn't swinging left or right, it's looking for leaders who can make things work when Washington can't. Now here's a big sip for you. The Dunning-Kruger Effect. When confidence outruns competence. Here's something to sip on. Have you ever met someone who was shockingly confident about something they clearly didn't understand? That, my friend, is the Dunning-Kruger Effect at work. It's a psychological bias where people with low ability in a subject overestimate their skill, while those who are actually good at it often underestimate themselves. In short, the less you know, the more certain you feel, and the more you know, the more aware you are of how much you don't. The name comes from two Cornell psychologists, David Dunning and Justin Kruger, who in the late 90s ran experiments showing that the weakest performance on logic and grammar tests consistently rated themselves above average. The irony: their very lack of skill made them unable to recognize their own mistakes. We see this everywhere, in workplaces, politics, social media, and even relationships. Someone skims a headline and suddenly becomes an expert in geopolitics. A coworker who's been in training for 2 weeks swears they could run the place. Meanwhile, the real experts are often quietly second-guessing themselves, questioning every detail and seeking feedback. It's not about intelligence, it's about self-awareness. The Dunning-Kruger effect reminds us that knowledge doesn't just fill gaps, it reveals them. The more we learn, the more we realize how much more there is to learn. So if you catch yourself thinking, "I've got this all figured out," that might be the perfect moment to pause and check whether you're sipping the sweet espresso of confidence or a double shot of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Now on to the lighter roast. Is politics making dating harder? They say love conquers all, but have they tried loving someone who thinks your favorite candidate is the villain in their story? Politics used to be a dinner table debate, something you could laugh off or agree to disagree about. Now it's the whole dinner. The appetizer, the entree, and sometimes the reason there's no dessert. Dating today feels like walking through a minefield of moral codes and hashtags. People don't just want a partner, they want someone who mirrors their worldview, who validates their sense of right and wrong. And in a time when beliefs have become identities, that can make connection feel risky. Because when you say, "I'm liberal," or "I'm conservative," you're not just describing your politics, you're revealing what kind of human being you're assumed to be. And that assumption can shut a door before the person even gets the knock. But here's a twist. Love isn't supposed to be easy or identical. The best relationships have always been made of tension. Two people holding different pieces of truth and choosing to meet somewhere in the middle. What's changed is that we've stopped trusting that the middle ground even exists. It's easier now to date an algorithm than a person with nuance. The algorithm never asks you to question yourself, but real connection does. It forces you to listen without waiting for your turn to argue. Maybe that's where hope still lives, in the quiet moments between opinions, in the curiosity that asks, "How did you come to see the world that way?" instead of, "How can you think like that?" So, is politics making dating harder? Absolutely. But it's also giving a new test of empathy. Can you still see the person behind the position? If you can, then maybe, just maybe, love still stands a chance, even in an age where everyone's campaigning for their version of the truth. And now for our commemoration segment. Remember the 5th of November. Today, November 5th, carries a curious mix of history, rebellion, and celebration. If you've ever heard the line, remember the 5th of November, you're already halfway there. In 1605, a man named Guy Fawkes joined a group of English conspirators in a plan to blow up Parliament and assassinate King James I. The goal? To restore Catholic rule to Protestant England. The plan failed. Fawkes was caught beneath the Parliament building with barrels of gunpowder, and his name forever became tied to the plot. The following year, Parliament declared November 5th a national day of thanksgiving for the King's survival, and that tradition evolved into Guy Fawkes Night or Bonfire Night. Across the United Kingdom, people still light bonfires, set off fireworks, and burn effigies of Fawkes. Part history lesson, part street festival, part cautionary tale about revolution and consequence. But November 5th isn't only about a centuries old plot, it's also World Day of the Romani language, a UNESCO recognized celebration that honors the language, culture, and resilience of the Roma people across Europe. The day promotes cultural inclusion, education, and respect for one of the world's most misunderstood communities. And for something lighter, it's National Love Your Red Hair Day. Because even in a world of chaos and politics, sometimes we just need to celebrate freckles, fiery curls, and individuality. You'll also find National Stress Day on your calendar, a reminder to pause, breathe, and let fireworks happen outside but not in your head. So, whether you're watching fireworks spark over London, standing up for culture and language, or just giving your red-haired friend a high five, November 5th reminds us that history, identity, and expression all deserve to burn bright. For the brief wake up, I'm Handel, reminding you to stay curious, stay kind, and keep your inner fire controlled but alive.